So what is going on, everybody? It has been a few weeks since I have been on here. It has just been an onslaught of different things, one after another, the past few weeks. For one thing, I had midterms, and then, unfortunately, that same week, my cat that has been with me for 14 years passed away. So that bummed me out that week, and I just was not in a mood to make any videos. And then on top of that, I was in the hospital for the next week after that. So it has definitely been a bumpy few weeks, but I am back. So before we jump into talking about the 40 breeder, I just wanted to mention that in the middle of everything that was going on, the channel hit 800 subscribers. So I wanted to extend a big thank you to all of you guys that have subscribed to the channel over the past few months. Definitely, I've seen a lot of you coming in, and I've been reading all of your comments, and I just wanted to say thank you for the support and all the kind words you guys have been putting out there. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that button down below, and don't forget to hit the bell and drop a like too. So to bring you guys back up to speed with what has been going on with the 40-gallon breeder, in the last few videos, I pretty much completely disassembled the tank and resealed it, took off the 3D background that used to be on there, and also built a spray bar to connect to my canister filter. So once the tank had been sitting filled with water for about 3 or 4 days and not seeing any signs of any issues, I decided it was time to go ahead and get the fish out of their temporary holding tub and put them back into this tank. So in order to keep all the beneficial bacteria from the canister filter alive, I had all of the sponges and ceramic media sitting in this tub along with the fish, with the air stone going through it to keep it well oxygenated. That way I can go ahead and stick everything back in the canister filter and put all the fish right back into the tank without having any major parameter swings or issues that would lead to any trouble. I did also put most of the water from the holding tub into the tank and then filled the rest of the way with fresh water, so that essentially they were getting a water change and not completely being put into new water, which could potentially further stress out the fish. I really wanted to minimize as much stress to them as possible to make the transition a smooth one for them. Alright guys, so I am halfway through the process of getting the fish put into the tank, and I had to stop and do a double take a second. Apparently my puffer fish was not too happy with the move. I'm probably gonna have to keep an eye on him a little bit. So after putting in a whole bunch of the tetras and then transferring over the puffer fish, who is perfectly calm right now down there in the corner, just a little, nervous with the move right now, he or she decided to take a bite out of one of my tetras, and you can see it floating up here, and it's just like what he used to do with the rummy nose tetras. He bit off its eyes and took its brain out. So I don't know what that was about. He hasn't done this in a very long time, not since the rummy nose tetras were in the tank. And as you can see, the rest of the tetras are fine so far. He's even swimming past one of the others and not even an act of going after them. So I don't know what just happened there. I did notice though, and you guys may have noticed it too, this one does seem to have a little bit of a bent spine, which I knew there was one in the bunch that kind of was a little bit dopey ever since I first got them. So maybe he just saw a vulnerable fish and went for it. But yeah, I don't know what happened there, guys. Alright, so everybody is in the tank now. And thankfully, so far, no other casualties. And like I said, I'll keep an eye on Mr. or Mrs. Puffer, who right now is kind of just sulking in the corner down there. But as of right now, everything seems calm, everything seems peaceful. The plants that are in there, I've temporarily put in some cups with some pool filter sand just to keep them rooted and standing straight up instead of floating them so that they don't start growing in different directions. The spray bar is working out great. I'm getting a good bit of flow all around the tank, going from the back to the front and going down to the bottom and then back towards the back, which is perfect since a lot of times I tend to put leaf litter and things in this tank. I don't necessarily want that all building up at the very front, which it was doing before. So hopefully this should help alleviate that while still also getting a good naturalistic look in this tank. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention about the plants. You can see the red tiger lotus. That is about 5 plants in that little cup there. So it did kind of take a hit during the move, which I expected it to. But that's not all of my red tiger lotus. If we come over here to my paludarium tank, I have about 7 or 8 red tiger lotus plants hanging out in here, so that when it does come time to escape the 40-gallon breeder, we are all set for those. And the sword plant, I put in this tank temporarily, which when you take a step back, it actually really looks good in that tank. You know, that's weird. I put this plant in here just temporarily, but it does really make the tank look good. But it's not staying in there, so I'm getting that out of my head because this plant will grow probably another foot higher than this tank could even go. So it's definitely coming out, and these tanks are getting redone too. So at this point now, it's been a few weeks since everybody's been put back into the tank. I have not seen any more predatory behavior from the pufferfish. So I think it's really a behavior that I've been watching and kind of observing, and I'm definitely going to make a separate video on kind of what I've been seeing with that. But for right now, everyone is happy in the tank despite the fact that there's pretty much little to no substrate in there. It still gets its weekly water changes, and everyone's been eating well. The Epistophyra that are in here have been growing up, and eventually, probably when I do this rescape, they will be moved out, and I'll probably end up just taking them into my local fish store. The Bolivian rams are back on their what seems to be a bi-weekly cycle of breeding at this point. They've already had another batch of fry, which have gotten eaten, as goes the circle of life in this community tank here. At this point in time, I'm not really doing any major breeding. If they breed in there and if any survive, it works, but I'm not actively working on any breeding projects at the time. Which the pistos in here don't really seem to care, since they seem to keep going at it as well. And their fry, since they're such good parents, tend to have a little bit more of a survival rate. And as of right now, I'm still kind of holding off on the escape. I have some things in mind, and I do have a few pieces of material coming in to add on to the scape that I have in mind. And since things have seemed to settle down a little bit more in life, I will definitely be returning to my regularly scheduled video routine, maybe a little bit more, but definitely the regularly scheduled routine is going back into effect. Alright everybody, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely stay tuned. There's much more to come with this tank as well as all the other ones too. I still have not forgotten that I'm going to be rescaping Nano Corner, but I'm not rushing anything. It's pretty much still a work in progress. And again, another big thank you to all my subscribers. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.